Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new video. Today we're going to be talking about what the Biden campaign is admitting and how that contradicts a lot of these so-called experts' predictions for this election cycle. So before we get started, make sure you like this video down below and subscribe to the channel. But first, I do have to tell you guys about my friends over at My Patriot Supply. Friends, we're fast approaching what many believe to be the true second wave of COVID-19, and this may be even worse than the first. On top of that, our nation's political uncertainty and civil unrest will impact every area of your life. Are you ready? Another round of quarantines and shortages may be on the way, and those who know what's coming are using today to prepare for the worst. That's why I strongly recommend My Patriot Supply, the only source I personally use and trust for my emergency food preparedness plan, and you can too. Right now, save $100 off a full 4-week supply of nutritious meals that supply 2,000 calories a day to save your life when panic or disaster hits and food disappears again from your local grocery store. Saving $100 is impossible to pass up, especially now, so go to preparewithredeagle.com and get ready now. That's preparewithredeagle.com. There is no time to lose. Do it now. So today, we have to look at what the Biden campaign came out and said, because they admitted the inevitable. They admitted that they are not ahead by double digits, and that is true. Biden is not going to win this election by double digits. Biden knows it. Pretty much everybody out there who is not a dishonest hack knows it, that this election is going to be closer than what a lot of the polls are showing, and it's probably going to go down the wire, and Donald Trump has a much better chance of winning than they would like to admit. And Biden's campaign manager said, please take the fact that we are not ahead by double digits. Those are inflated national public polling numbers, which is true. The Biden campaign knows that Biden is not ahead by double digits, despite what people in the media, despite what people in the election mafia like Nate Silver and 538 would like to tell you. The Biden campaign knows that Donald Trump, and they admit this here, can still win the November election. And the race is neck and neck in certain states like Arizona and North Carolina. Now, some people on the left are going to say, oh, they're just saying this to bring in fundraising. They don't need any more fundraising. They've already got over $400 million in cash on hand. I don't even know if they can spend it all legally. I don't even know if they can use it all. But the bottom line here is the Biden campaign did not need to admit this. Some people are going to mention complacency. Well, I mean, that works if you're up by 20 or 30 points, but if you're up by roughly 5 to 10 points or so, you don't necessarily need to say that. There's a reason why campaigns release internals of them up by inflated margins, because it energizes the base and it sets the exact narrative that needs to be set here. So that's not really the best argument here. I believe that this is an honest statement from Jen O'Malley Dillon. Biden is not winning the national popular vote by 10 percentage points in the polls, because their polls show something different. And how do I know this? Well, we can look at where Biden is actually going. He's spending a lot of time, an awfully lot of time, in the state of Pennsylvania. When Obama was up by roughly 7% in the national polls and his internals, he was going to places like Arkansas, Georgia, Missouri, Montana, North and South Dakota were even in play in 2008. If the national media polls were right, Joe Biden would have a much different campaign strategy than the strategy he is employing now. He's not going to Florida, North Carolina, or even Wisconsin very often. He's spending a lot of his time in Pennsylvania. He'll occasionally go to Michigan. He may go to Florida or North Carolina once or twice. I haven't seen him in Arizona lately. I assume he'll be going there shortly. But either way, Biden is not campaigning or acting like a man who is up by 10 percentage points, and everybody knows it. They know it's going to be a very close election. They really do. And some people don't know this, however. People like Nate Silver, or as we like to call Nate Plastic. Nate Plastic here believes that Biden is more likely to win a 400 electoral vote landslide than Trump is to narrowly win the election. He thinks Biden has a better chance at winning Alaska than Donald Trump has at winning this election. And you can see this here. He has Trump with a 12% chance to win the election, which is funny, because back in 2016, he had Trump at around a 28 to 30% chance or so. And he has Biden's big peak here. He says the most likely outcome of the election is a Biden 413 to Trump 125 electoral vote landslide. Absolutely laughable. He thinks that that is more likely than Donald Trump is to potentially actually win the election. You can see this here, where Trump has a 12% chance to win the national election against Joe Biden, yet you go down to the state of Alaska, and Biden has a 22% chance to win the state of Alaska. So not only does Biden have a better chance to win the state of Alaska than Donald Trump has to win the state of Michigan, they think Biden has a better chance at Alaska than Donald Trump has at the presidency, which is absolutely hilarious. You can go down here to South Carolina. Biden has a better chance in South Carolina than Trump has in a place like Michigan, according to Nate Plastic's 527 model. It's hilarious. It's a joke. But this narrative has been exactly what they are pushing. And they really think that Biden is going to win the state of Texas. It's laughable. Now, I've said that Texas will be a problem for Republicans by the end of this decade. You have things like suburban trends. You have things like mass immigration. Republicans are going to struggle in places like Texas and places like Georgia, in my opinion, by the end of the decade. But this election cycle, even though Donald Trump is down in the RCP average, he's actually up in Texas by nearly 5%. And if you want to look at the early vote in the state of Texas here, and Target Smart is not perfect because they don't really track by party ID in the state of Texas. But if you want to look at the model out of the state of Texas here, you can see that Republicans are actually doing better in 2020 than they were doing in 2016 when it comes down to the early vote. A lot of this is in-person early vote. And you want to look at a key county in Texas. You want to look at a key county. Tarrant County seems to be the bellwether. Donald Trump won it by 8%. He won the state by 9%. Beto O'Rourke very, very narrowly won the county back in 2018. He lost statewide by 2.8%. So if the Republicans are winning Tarrant County, they're probably going to win Texas regardless. And if you want to look at the early vote in terms of what we see out of Tarrant County, Texas right here, Republicans are doing far better than they were doing in the 2018 election. Again, this is not entirely perfect. It does gauge the data a little bit weird, but Donald Trump is doing just fine in Tarrant County. I think he's going to win the county by like 3% or so. I think he's going to win the state of Texas by roughly 5%, but there's virtually no way Donald Trump is going to lose the state of Texas. It's laughable. You want to talk about Alaska? We could look at Alaska as well. 2018 was a blue wave year. It was a D+9 national environment to an extent. If you go by the national popular vote for the House, obviously I do have some grievances with that because a lot of races were uncontested. A lot of the races did not have a Republican in them in the state of California, which had plenty of congressional districts, the most up for grab in the country with 55. There was probably around 5 or 6 that did not have a single Republican, so Republicans didn't run a candidate in around 50 districts or so. Democrats didn't run a candidate in only 3 districts. So you can kind of gauge why Republicans did much, much better than the national average showed, but that's beside the point. Even if it was a D+6, D+7 national popular vote, in the state of Alaska, Mike Dunleavy, the Republican, actually flipped the seat to Republican for the governor's race from a incumbent who was a liberal independent in Bill Walker. He did drop out, but former Senator Mark Begich, who was not really that unpopular, and Bill Walker combined for roughly 46.5% of the vote. Mike Dunleavy still won with 51.5% of the vote. In the 2016 election, when it came down to the state of Alaska, Donald Trump beat Hillary Clinton 51.3 to 36.6. So while I do think that Biden may get in the low 40s in the state of Alaska, I still think Donald Trump is probably at a minimum going to get around 54% of the vote. Obviously, Alaska does like to give a lot of their votes to third parties. It's probably going to be Joe Jorgensen's best state. She'll probably get around 3 to 4% of the vote there as well. But I do expect Donald Trump to do fairly well in the state of Alaska, and I do expect him to beat Joe Biden in the state of Alaska by more than 10 percentage points so far. This is not a state that is really having any shot at flipping to Biden this cycle. I don't think anyone with a straight face will tell you that that is the case. But if you look at a state like Michigan, you saw the massive trends into the Republican column the massive change from 2012 in all of these rural counties, big shifts into the Republican column with a lot of ground left on the table as well. A lot of these counties were not maxed out for Donald Trump. Some of these counties that went for Trump by 30 points easily could have gone for him by 40 or 45 points in this cycle. If Republicans are getting it together when it comes down to turnout, that very well could happen. Michigan is very much in play. I think Donald Trump will win the state by the skin of his teeth, in my opinion. That's what I had it at during my last prediction. But there is a chance he loses it. However, Donald Trump is much more likely to win the state of Michigan than Joe Biden is to win the state of Alaska. These people like Nate Silver live in their own fantasy and their own reality to the point where they don't know what the hell is going on. That's why they were so off in 2016 as well as 2018, and that's why I do believe that they will be wrong again in the 2020 election. And if you want to look at the electoral map, this is what they really believe is more likely to happen. Instead of Biden flipping Pennsylvania and Michigan but still losing the election, they believe it is more likely for Biden to flip the states of North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, Ohio, Wisconsin, Maine 2nd District, Nebraska's 2nd District, the state of Texas, the state of Arizona, and the state of Alaska. They believe that this map is more likely to happen and more plausible to happen than Donald Trump is to just manage to hold on to the state of Wisconsin from 2016, the state of Florida, North Carolina, Georgia, Ohio, and Nebraska's 2nd, as well as the state of Alaska and South Carolina, which are really not in play, and Maine 2nd, which you won by over 10 percentage points. They believe that this map is nearly impossible compared to the map that is actually impossible, that will actually not happen in reality. It just proves their lack of intellect. It just proves how much of a joke they are. It's not going to happen. They live in their fantasy, and that's just the way it is. And at the end of the day, I do believe that Donald Trump has a very good chance to win this election. I put it at 55%, but if Donald Trump does lose the election, I still will be a lot more accurate than somebody like Nate Plastic over at 527, who just tells his readers what they exactly want to hear. If I was going to be like him, I could paint this map all red, but I'm not going to do it. I'm going to tell it the way it is. This is going to be a close election. It's going to go down the wire. And do not listen to people at 538 because they have no idea what the hell they're talking about. Seriously, they have no idea. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. Please like this video down below, comment down below, and subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media, become a member, donate to the Patreon, or subscribe. Star links in description. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Red Eagle, out.